Everyone wants to know about incrementality. So how are you measuring this full funnel to know that it's net profitable?
So many different ways. We do find across accounts that the on-platform is really not doing it justice to how many purchasers we're getting, especially for high AOV products. The most important when you're doing YouTube is really using your post-purchase survey. Obviously, not every customer is going to use it, but just using it as a benchmark. Like when we increase spend, was our post-purchase survey increasing? I actually pull all the data from that and put it next to our spend to just see if everything's trending together. And you will see a lot better numbers from what I've seen on the post-purchase survey versus in platform.
Content from real people equals instant credibility for your brand. Consumers today crave real connections with real people, and they're guarded about who they'll trust. Highly polished, branded content simply doesn't cut it anymore. Let MiniSocial build a network of powerful micro-influencers around your brand who all know and love your products. They'll create something compelling that resonates with their audience and deliver it directly to you for use across all your marketing channels. Yeah, that includes ads. Meet millennials and Gen Zers where they're already hanging out, in the feeds of their favorite influencers, and get started with MiniSocial. It's all killer, no filler. I'm Eric, and I'm here with Kari from Pilothouse's Google team. How you doing?
I am doing well. To introduce myself, my name is Kari. I am a Google and YouTube media buyer. I've been at Pilothouse for just over 3.5 years now. And throughout my time, I've been moving more and more to doing YouTube media buying. So super excited to be here and chat on that.
Yeah, I think YouTube is something that a lot of people want to do. I think that a lot of people don't really know how to build full funnels on YouTube. So excited to walk through this sort of case study that you did with a client recently.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think sometimes people can feel it's a little daunting. But the more YouTube moves forward, the more we can use a lot of like Instagram, Facebook kind of content as well on that platform, which is what we did in this case study. And I think a lot of brands can also use this and just be reaching a new audience on another platform.
Yeah, so set the stage here. We're talking about Anyday. You have permission to talk about the brand. We were working on their broader Google account, I guess, right? And they sort of decided they wanted to reach new people with top of funnel with YouTube.
Yeah, so essentially I have been on this account for a while. We were pretty Google and Facebook heavy. Always ran a bit of YouTube retargeting here and there, but we never really fully got into top of funnel. They decided that they wanted to make more of an organic push, so they were getting more YouTube specific content on that side. And then we also bridged into doing more top of funnel YouTube, which essentially has built out a really nice funnel. I definitely think we're more familiar at looking at this on Facebook, but obviously it works the same way. Like people subscribe to you, they like your videos. If they view your organic content, we can retarget them on ads. So it's just really a great way to build a separate community. So, and also a portion of YouTube people don't really think about is a lot of it is search-based. So it comes up both in Google search results, but also people searching on YouTube. So if you can design a plan for your product that's something people might be searching about, that's just constant evergreen content. Like it's constantly going to come up through YouTube SEO. So that's another thing that they've been doing as well.
Yeah, we were talking about that with our mushroom coffee client, just talking about going into the ingredients and all the keywords around a product rather than competing on these heavily competitive mushroom coffee keywords. You go upstream, and if you're creating video content about that, it's going to get found, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's better, but it's something where it's not going to get buried in the feed. You know, if people are searching about it, if you make that today, it's probably still relevant 3 years from now. And then you can as well just make different playlists around that. So if you have a brand that people are already searching for like aspects like that, like you said, it totally makes sense to invest in some organic content as well.
So describe the kind of organic content. Like, I think organic content is probably what holds up a lot of people from YouTube, is they think, okay, like that is a bit daunting, that if I'm going to do YouTube, I want to do it properly. I want to have my own organic content. In your experience, how necessary is it to have organic content? And then maybe talk about Anyday's organic content strategy a bit.
I mean, I think there's kind of two different pillars to organic content. One, I think every single brand that's on socials already should be doing. And that's just uploading all your Reels content and that sort of thing to Shorts. Like, that is just a no-brainer. You can get apps that will do it for you, essentially. And with a lot of the new iPhones, if you shoot it in landscape, you can use that for both YouTube and then size it down to meta. So when you're sourcing content, if you just film it like that originally, you can use it on both. So it's kind of just designing your content strategy to work on all platforms, and a pretty low lift way to be reaching a bunch of new people. I would say that's like the easy way to get into organic. If that's working well for you, then from there you can move into the more like polished YouTube videos that we think of. A great place to start though is just founders content, like why you started the brand, like you said with Mushroom Coffee, like answering the questions, like this is what chaga is, or in an Anyday example, like their cooking brand. So like, here's an example of how we do this, like this is how you cook rice in the microwave, an example. But I would just really encourage to think both of like SEO, what people are going to be searching, and then as well as what works for your brand as a whole, what makes good content.
Is there any paid promotion of organic content to kind of get things started, or does it go right into ads?
Meaning, like, do you use their organic videos for ads as well?
Yeah.
So we definitely do. One thing about YouTube is it definitely does have a longer attention span than some of the other platforms we see. And it does skew a little bit older. So I think that's also partly why. But I wouldn't say for super top of funnel audiences, unless you have like some very, very primed ones. But for instance, if you have influencers you work with a lot, I've used 10-minute videos and they convert. Like, people may not watch the whole thing, but they still do well.
All right, so you've got this organic base. What should we be thinking about next in the YouTube funnel?
One last thing on the organic thing is once you start getting viewers, you can apply for the YouTube Partner Program, which I think has been talked about on here before, but essentially that allows you to monetize. But the big thing it does from an advertiser side is it allows you to link products from both your organic videos and then your storefront as a whole. And we actually A/B tested this because we were already running organic when we got approved for this. And adding in the product feeds has substantially helped get people off the like organics shorts and onto the site, just adding that clickable element. There is like, you do need a certain amount of views and everything to get it approved for that, but definitely a really easy win if you're already posting.
All right, then moving on into top and middle of funnel of our YouTube strategy. What are we doing there?
Yeah, so essentially this is kind of what brought about the entire strategy. So we were always running a little bit of retargeting and we would test a tiny bit of top of funnel here and there, but we just weren't seeing the ROAS results. And we were being pretty tentative with spend just because we were never seeing the returns there. So we basically decided, we're like, for 2 months, we want to go all in on YouTube. Like, we just want to test it. We have the content now. We want to see if it's going to work. So we built out a strategy of both with content, but with also audiences, starting top of funnel. And the main goal of that was not to get a return on it, but just to get people off the site, like to get really high quality engaged audiences, which I will say YouTube across accounts has really solid audiences. When you look at GA4, like the time spent on page, the bounce rate, everything there is usually really good once you find your niche. So essentially, top of funnel, I would suggest running mostly Google audiences just because those tend to be cheaper. Google is doing a really good job now of making new custom audiences that really apply to your brand. So you'll see ones in there for cookware, like healthy eating, ones they've designed for you. I would definitely recommend that. And then just really attention grabbing content top of funnel. We have tested a bunch of this, and you really want to stay away on the YouTube side from doing super like USP or this is how I'm going to solve your problem right away, but more just like, hey, this is the brand, like this is Anyday, make it recognizable, and then come back and meet those people with like, how is this going to solve your problem, which moves into middle of funnel. So this is where we started going for more of a return. We were retargeting the YouTube ad viewers specifically. The benefit of doing those audiences is they're way cheaper than your regular retargeting audiences. So you get them at a way lower cost, which is obviously good. And then also doing some keyword audiences. So that's the cool thing about YouTube is you can use a lot of your Google Insights. So keywords that work well for you on search, you can make audiences for that. You can also do URL audiences. So even for like competitor sites or like if we were using cooking, like you can use recipe URLs and target that. So that works really well. And that part of the funnel, we were going for like, we want to be break-even ROAS essentially as we start bringing it in or whatever that means for you. And then bottom of funnel, of course, like classic, everyone has their retargeting audiences. But looking at the funnel as a whole on the return really helped us scale, because when we were trying to look at it like across like top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel separately, we were just not seeing the numbers. And then when we brought it all in together, we were able to really increase the spend there. And it's been really successful.
That's awesome. That's the beauty and promise of YouTube in the whole Google Ads environment, right? It's good to see it kind of coming to fruition. When you say all in, I know we don't have to talk numbers, but versus the budget of maybe the rest of the Google ad spend, like what percentage was allotted in that 2 months kind of to go all in?
I mean, we did separate, but without saying numbers, we're now spending typically more on YouTube than we are on the search shopping side.
Which makes sense because you're getting probably a lot more eyeballs on that side at this point.
Exactly. And like, I do think for all brands, but like top of funnel is always huge. And being able to bring those audiences in top of funnel and then retarget them on search and shopping is also a big benefit of it all being under one umbrella.
Really interesting. And it is, I like that idea of like the continuous funnel that you really are at each stage, you're focusing on the funnel, the people above it, right? What does the drop off look like? I'm interested, like what are you looking for in terms of like pulling people through that funnel at each stage? Like, I don't know, are there benchmarks or what are you looking for to know if your content's working?
So as we move down the funnel, we obviously get more into purchase audiences, but top of funnel, when we start like at the very broad, we just want really good click-through rates. We really want to see people active on the site. As we move into the middle of funnel, that's when we start to look more at add to carts, like purchases, and often you will see the click-through rate or the interaction kind of drop off. And so being able to separate that out from YouTube ad viewers, because like with exclusions, you can make people who viewed an ad but didn't click to the site. You can make people who viewed an ad and clicked to the site. So you have all like different levels of engagement and can serve them the content that makes sense for them there. And then all the way into just your classic site retargeting.
Nice. We did a piece on the newsletter last week just about hook rate, speaking specifically about meta ads, about how often you get someone to linger on your short instead of swiping it essentially as sort of a pre-click metric. Is that something you look for with this content as well?
It's kind of different on YouTube because you can run different inventory. So there's the classic like 6 seconds and then people can skip. On those kind of videos, you do are people hanging around after that skip period? Like how many people are staying? That's definitely a rate we look at. Mm-hmm. But then on YouTube, you can also force people to watch videos for a certain amount of time. It's definitely more expensive, but like if you have like a really good video that's working well, always recommend trying that. And then shorts is a whole different thing. The view rate on those is typically pretty low. So definitely still want to look at just as far as like how long people are hanging on, but just the nature of the platform, like you're going to see really low hook rate if that's what you want to.
Yeah, and I've heard people that are trying to build their organic YouTube off of the shorts often have a lot of difficulty with that. Like getting people off of shorts onto anything else is difficult.
Yeah, I think it depends on your kind of content. Like I do have one brand that does quite well on YouTube Shorts, really educational content organically. And then people will go to try and find more kind of educational. But it's definitely, you want to get in people's minds and then retarget them. So I do think that's where those organic retargeting audiences come in, because people are just in a different frame of mind when they're scrolling versus when you get the ad in front of you and have to wait for however many seconds.
Or maybe the whole thing as you laugh maniacally. I noted that was good. Okay, so everyone wants to know about incrementality. So how are you measuring this full funnel to know that you're that it's net profitable?
So many different ways to answer your question. I think we do look on platform, of course. We do find across accounts that the on platform just is really not doing it justice to how many purchasers we're getting, especially for high AOV products. Which brings me to the next, which I think is the most important when you're doing YouTube, is really using your post-purchase survey. And just obviously not every customer is going to use it, but just using it as a benchmark. Like when we increase spend, was our post-purchase survey increasing? And I actually pull all the data from that and put it next to our spend to just see if everything's trending together. And you will see a lot better numbers from what I've seen on the post-purchase survey versus in platform. So we use that and then kind of make like an artificial ROAS if that were like the true case. So that's really helpful. And also I have another brand that's super high AOV. We never see purchases in platform, but on the post-purchase survey, they do really well. So it is just important to note things like that. That would be my number one recommendation. And then also GA. Of course, always checking to reference. I will say the numbers in GA, just because it's so view-based, are always lower, just in terms of conversions and ROAS, but you do want to make sure it's trending in the same direction. Because back to incrementality, as we all know, with all platforms, they do like to be a little grabby sometimes.
Little grabby.
So just making sure what looks good in platform is also looking good last click.
And it's been a while since I started my career running Google Ads way back in 2007, I think, 2006 maybe. And things have changed a lot since then. So when you're talking, is YouTube just sort of within the entire ad buying environment now? So if you show an ad, someone sees one of your top of funnel ads, gets curious about the brand, searches it, and then gets served an ad, that YouTube video gets who gets the conversion there?
I mean, it comes down to essentially now the conversions all come in as decimals. So they will weight more heavily the top of funnel source. So they might give like 0.7 to YouTube and 0.3 to branded search. But another cool thing, because they're connected, is you can run the audiences in the background observationally. So I have like our top of funnel YouTube ad viewers running in behind shopping branded Performance Max. And then you can see in the background how many conversions are coming through that or how many clicks. Just, it's not another like perfect measurement, but also just seeing if that's increasing, if your branded searches are coming in from it as well.
Yeah. And it's new people. YouTube people are going to be a little bit different from the Meta people and the Instagram people and the Pinterest people, right? So it's going to be net new eyeballs, not all necessarily, but it's going to be worth if you can make the numbers work. And it could have halo effects across the rest of your business. If you're reaching new people, they'll find you elsewhere. They'll find you on Amazon. They'll find you on Instagram maybe too, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm admittedly a YouTube person, which fits well, but it does definitely reach a newer audience. A lot of the time it is skewing older, which I find very interesting. But it also is, you are reaching people who are genuinely have an interest in that topic a lot of the time. So if your brand aligns with that, it's such a great place to meet like people who are interested in that niche.
Yeah, it is the world's second biggest search engine, right? YouTube next to Google. It's the same company, but
I don't know. TikTok might be coming for it, but I think
they push the searches on you really well. It'll be I'll be scrolling on TikTok and then I'll be like 10 scrolls deep and I'll be like, why is it all this one thing? And I mistakenly had hit the search thing. Like, I didn't realize that was happening. You have one other note here about top of funnel versus middle of funnel content. What did you intend to talk about there?
I think we kind of got into that, but I do think, I mean, with anything, you really gotta test and what works well for your brand. But on the YouTube side, especially because it is so view-based, people might not be clicking the first time. You really want to make sure the top of funnel content is more like people recognize your brand, you get that in there, and then you just get like one really quick hook. And then moving into the middle of funnel is when you want to introduce your USPs, your problem solving. So I guess high level, what we've found is like, you just don't want to like shove like, I'm so great, this is what I can do for you. Like,
you have all these problems. You're not eating enough steamed broccoli.
Let me fix it. So that is just something across accounts I've found is just like easing into it a little bit more top of funnel, and then coming in heavy with why we're so great middle of funnel.
And do you think this strategy would work as well if they hadn't put, like, I guess a lot of the content you're reusing into the ads as well, as you said, but if they hadn't built the organic base or put all the effort into organic, do you think this strategy could still be working?
I think it's both. I do have some accounts that aren't, and I've basically implemented the same thing and it's working, but the organic does help a lot. They are posting more like YouTube style videos now. They do separate filming. And when those launch and they get a bunch of views on them, I do notice like a good uptick and then things kind of slow down for a bit. So I definitely think this has worked so well because it's cohesive, but I do think it's possible to just run paid ads as well and have good results.
This has been super helpful, I think. Let's be super specific about, give us an example of a kind of video that would happen at the top, middle, and bottom of funnel and like walk us through like what each actually looks like.
Okay, so for our top of funnel videos, our best performing ones use a pretty popular influencer mixed with other just kind of videos of like your everyday, and it's just going through people super fast of like, these are how many different ways like people use it. Just you're seeing a lot of people getting into the brand, and the hooks typically are something just like Anyday, like the dish that does it all, or something like that. Not super salesy yet, but just really attention grabbing. And actually our best hook like ever to date is like, this is Jetsons technology. So just something that kind of piques your interest, but is
older audience for sure. Yeah.
Hey, I watch the Jetsons too, you know?
Okay, that's impressive.
So just something that's like, what is that? Not necessarily like this is. And then moving into middle of funnel is where we start getting into like, this dish has saved me so much time. Like, this is where like I eat healthier with this, which is true.
And is that UGC or is that like is that infographic style?
Typically UGC, a little more polished UGC than you'll see on Facebook, but the style that we see work really well is doing kind of a UGC style voiceover and matching it with infographics. So like I start the video and then it's going to start fading into like showing the dishes, showing different lifestyle content, just to polish it up a bit from what we'd see on Meta.
Very cool. And then bottom, when you're really going for the broccoli.
The bottom of funnel is obviously promos work well. Founder content tends to work really well. And then just really getting into the different use cases. We have a ton going. If you have a product that it can solve like a bunch of different problems like cooking, I'll run quite a big variety bottom of funnel and just allow the algorithm to find the person, but really just hammering home those USPs, whether it's like saving time, money, and then obviously everyone loves a discount bottom of funnel as well.
This has been great. And it just reminds me of the podcast we did earlier about videos being used more and more in search results. Like it's only going to continue that videos, so that brands that have YouTube videos, will ultimately be prioritized in the algorithm as well if they've got a great bunch of assets there.
Yeah, 100%. You're seeing it way more. And I'm even seeing on shorts feeds. I have one client who I think it was 93% of their views were coming from search, both like YouTube search and search. So it really is increasing.
This has been a great, I just like how organized this was, and I think how helpful it was. I think that even just that piece at the end to help crystallize what each of these ads could be at each part of the funnel. I hope this inspires some of our listeners to take action on YouTube. So thanks so much for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're not getting the D2C newsletter, you can subscribe for free at direct-to-consumer.co. And if you want to learn more about Pilothouse's all-killer, no-filler services, take off to pilothouse.co. I'm Eric Dick, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.